Guys, welcome back to my channel. I know you love this skirt you're seeing here, so I'll be doing a tutorial showing us how to make this skirt. So if this is something you're interested in, please keep watching and do not forget to like, subscribe and share. And if you're new on this channel, thank you for stopping by. We would love to see you here next time. So these are the materials we'll be using for this tutorial. We have the tape, our elastic, our scissors, and of course the fabric we'll be using. So guys, let's get started. So the first thing we are going to do now is to fold our fabric into two, because we're going to be cutting this skirt separately, and when making this skirt, we're going to add extra 7 inches allowance for that gathers by the side. So here I'm going to input my waist measurement, which is about 10 inches or so. I don't really remember. And then I'm just going to go ahead and input the 7 inches allowance that I'll be using for the sides. So this is exactly what I'll be doing here. I'm just going to mark that point here, and then I'll go down and input my hip measurements. The hip measurement is about 9 inches from the waist point. So I'll just go ahead and draw a line so I can input my measurement from that line. And then when I input my hip measurement, I'm still going to go ahead to input the 7 inches measurement for the side, because it's going to be from the waist down to the length of the skirt. So after I've done this, the next thing I'm going to go ahead to do now is to input the length measurement. So because I want this skirt to be below my knee, I'm going to use the full length of the fabric. Then when I'm cutting the elastic, I'll make sure the elastic is the length which I want the skirt to be. So now I'm just going to go ahead to connect my waist point to my hip point down to the length of the skirt. But I'm going to also make sure that whatever measurement I have on my hip point, I'll repeat that same measurement down to the end of the skirt, since it's not going to be a pencil skirt because of the gathers by this side. So I'm just going to go ahead now to connect these points. So here I'm just inputting the 7 inches extra allowances. I'm trying to make sure it's 7 inches all through, all the way down to the end of the skirt, so I can have an even measurement on the sides. And so the next thing we are going to do now is cut out the excess, and we are cutting it with the 7 inches inclusive. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it over here so that we can see. So now this is the main measurements we're working with, while this is the extra 7 inches we'll be using for the sides gathers. So I'm just going to go ahead now to cut out the excess on the sides. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut it and show us the next thing to do. Now this is what it looks like after we've cut out all of the excess. Now this is the piece we'll be working with. Not to forget, this is the front piece. So this is exactly what we'll be working with. And now this measurement on the front, we're going to repeat it at the back of this front piece, because we'll be sewing on the top of the fabric. So we'll just repeat the measurement on the other side of this fabric, since we'll be sewing on top of it, so that we will not have to start looking for how to place the measurement and have something even at the end of the day. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this here. So guys, because this fabric is quite stretchy, I'm going to use my pins to put it in place so that it doesn't move from one part to the side that
will not get to confuse me eventually. So I'm just going to use these pins to put it in place while I bring the back piece and then place it on it to be able to cut the back piece out. So now I've gone ahead to place the front piece on the back piece with space in front. I'm using about 1.5 inches in front, and I'm also going to use pins to hold it so that it will be easy for me to be able to cut it out since the fabric is a bit stretchy. So the space in front is about 1.5 inch. That's my sewing allowance, and I'm also going to be using a zipper in this front, so it's okay to call it my zipping allowance, a zipper allowance also. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this, and then of course this measurement is already the same. So the only thing I'm going to do on this back piece right now is to split that part for the zipper and then take out the excess by the sides of this fabric. So now this is what the front and the back piece looks like. The next thing I'm going to do now is to notch that point where the 7 inches extra allowance started from. I'm going to notch it together, the back and the front piece together. So I'm going to show us what I'll be doing with this notched point. Remember, this is like the excess, so the main measurement is in front. So I'm going to show us what to do after doing this. So now I'm going to go ahead to join the back piece together, leaving some space in front at the top for the zipper allowance. So I'm just going to stitch this back piece together and then bring it back for us to see what it looks like after stitching it. So this is what it looks like after stitching it. Remember, I left some space at the top for the zipper. So the zipper is going to be from this point up to the band of the skirt. So now going back to that place I notched, that point I notched, what we are going to be doing there is to fold that point, that notched point where the excess started from. I'm going to fold it down to the sides and then to the end of the fabric, and then stitch it on my machine and bring the result for us to see what it looks like. I'm going to be doing this on both the front and also the back piece. Like, I'll be stitching from the top point down to the sides and then to the end of the fabric on both the front piece and the back piece of the fabric. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this and then bring back the results for us to see what it looks like after I folded it and then folded the under also. So now guys, you can see what it looks like now after I've folded that excess part on the top. So now the next thing I'm going to do now is to go ahead and bring the front piece and place on this back piece, and then go ahead to stitch the top part, that part with the notch, the one up that is very obvious here. I'm just going to go ahead and stitch that point. I'm going to point out for us to understand where we are stitching exactly. So this is exactly this point. Now we're going to stitch this point together and then do the same for the other side. You understand? I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I hope you understand with this illustration. I hope you understand. So now I've gone ahead to stitch this side, and this is what it looks like. A skirt, yeah, it looks like a butterfly skirt. So guys, I'm going to make 2 stitches, 2 straight lines on the side, starting from the top where the excess point starts from, the excess allowance. So it's like a casing, 2 casing on both sides of this fabric, so that my pin and elastic can pass through it. So I'm just going to go ahead and stitch it and bring it back for us to see. Guys, you can see now that I've stitched these points. It's 2 casings on both sides of this skirt. And the next thing I'm going to do now is bring the band for the skirt. So I'm going to sew this band round, starting from that point there, from the end of the fabric towards the other end of the fabric, then flipping to the other side. So now I've gone ahead to fix the band, and this is how it looks like after I was done stitching it down, both the front and the back. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to fix my zipper like to fix my zip on this skirt. So I'm just going to go ahead and stitch this zip on the skirt and then bring the results back for us to see and show us the next thing to do. So here I've gone ahead to fix the zipper on this skirt, and then the next thing we're going to do now is pass our elastic through the casing that we created earlier. Please, when you're making your casing, make sure there's enough space so that your safety pin will be able to pass through without so much struggles like I struggled to pass mine in. So guys, after passing your elastic, when you get to the top, stitch it down and then stitch the end also. So guys, this is the final result, and this is how the skirt looks like at the end of the day. Thank you so much for watching. See you in my next tutorial. Bye.